Hi everyone, we're here today to prepare an artichoke for stuffing. And artichokes can be extremely intimidating, and I know that a lot of people buy them already in cans or already pre-cooked, but they just don't have the same flavor as fresh artichokes. Springtime is a great time for artichokes, they're in season. And so I try to look at the artichokes when they have this very tight leaves, bulbous, and there's a bit of a stem on them, because the stem is actually something that signifies two things. One is that there's more freshness because the artichoke pulls from this part of the stem, even though it's been cut. And then the other thing is there's good meat in here. So do not throw that away. So I want to show you how to prepare this. And this is for stuffing an artichoke. So what I want to do is try to make this as even as possible on the bottom. So where the base meets the bulb, I want to just cut straight down. Now I use a heavy knife because it needs to cut through a heavy sharp knife. And I end up with this right here. So when you're stuffing an artichoke, obviously you want to have it standing up. Now this part should not be thrown away. This part, what I'd like to do is just really go down the side. You can actually peel it with a vegetable peeler, or this is what I do. I like to just cut it down the sides. And this is all good flesh, good meat. And so I'll reserve that for later and just cut this little piece off. But this piece right here is good. Now, if you notice, it'll start to brown. So either you can rub it with a lemon, or you can put it in some acidified water, meaning lemon just been put into water and then you just leave it there, okay? So we move on to the actual artichoke itself. Now, the heart of the artichoke is right in here, but then there are all these leaves around it, and inside is the choke. That's how it gets its name, and they're very feathery pieces that you could choke on. So the next step for us is to actually cut about 1/3 down, and it will expose a lot of the artichoke, the center of it. But you don't want to take off too much so that there aren't leaves to stuff. So about 1/3 down, you want to cut right through. And that's why you need a heavy knife, because you have to really put a little bit of pressure on there. And so this can be discarded. And this is what you have left. Now, this is the choke area. This is where it has to be removed if you're stuffing an artichoke. All these leaves are great because they can all hold the stuffing that you choose to put in them. But the next step is probably the most difficult. And so what I'm doing is I'm teasing this out to stretch it out a little bit. See how I'm just pushing back and forth? What that does is it enables me to get into the choke, because this here is the choke. So my next step is to slowly pull this out, and it will begin to expose some of that feathery choke that we have to get at. Now, you can do this a little bit with your hands, but then at some point, you're going to need a spoon or some other utensil to get in there. So let me show you what I do. I hold it in one hand and I start to just dig in. And as I'm digging in, you can begin to see this is that feathery choke. If you ever ate this, you would choke. So I'm slowly working at it. And it is the circumference of just this middle bullseye of the artichoke. Now, if you can get a little bit of a close-up here, you can start seeing that there's a little bit of choke in here, and then you see the flesh. It's really the heart of the artichoke. So I can begin to see where I need to remove some of that choke, little pieces, and then I'm really just circling around that bullseye that I talked about to remove the choke and keep it as clean as possible. And I look at it closely, and all of the choke is gone. And that really is how to prepare this. Now the next step is that you can have your favorite stuffing that you want to put in there. A lot of people do breadcrumbs. I did one recently with shrimp stuffing. You can do meat stuffing. And then as you stuff here, and then you begin to pull this away, the leaves away, and put the stuffing in here. And what you have is this beautiful bulb filled with stuffing. And so the other thing that you have to remember is that it will start to brown. So either I mentioned you could rub it with a lemon, or what I do sometimes when I'm making a lot of these is I'll just put it in water, face down in acidic water. And that's good enough to just hold it to keep it from browning. And then you can move on to the next artichoke if you'd like. So that is how to prepare an artichoke for stuffing.